Hi, third graders. For the past couple of days, we have been working with similes and metaphors, basically identifying them and then talking a little bit about what they mean when we find them in the text that we read. What we're going to add today is being able to write using similes and metaphors. So we're going to write our own similes and metaphors, and this will help us as readers because when we can do something ourselves, that'll just help us. It'll firm up our understanding of what similes and metaphors are. So when we're coming across them in the texts that we read, we can better understand what they mean. So, just to take us back, I read a book called Quick as a Cricket, and there it was full of similes. So, this book was all similes. So, I'm as strong as an ox. So that means that this boy, or he's comparing himself to an ox because ox are really strong, or oxen are really strong. So basically, what that means is that he is super strong, has a lot of strength. Uh, that was a simile because it's comparing a person to an ox using like or as. In Up North at the Cabin, I also read to you. Here was an example. I am a great gray dolphin. The lake is my ocean. This one was an example of a metaphor comparing a person to a dolphin, basically just saying that one thing is the other thing. I am a dolphin. And what she means by that is she's a really good swimmer. She's about to dive off of the dock into the water. She's a really good swimmer. So that's what the author means by that. And then you also read a poem called Delilah. And you did a nice job telling what you felt these words or these similes meant. These were both similes. Her tongue like a rose. Some of you talked about how that could mean that her tongue was pink, her tongue was red, or even that her tongue smelled good because roses we think of as smelling good. We know sometimes if Delilah is a puppy, we know puppies have that puppy breath that kind of smells good. And then another simile, her tail like a fan. So it's comparing her tail to a fan. That's another simile because it's comparing using like or as. Basically, most of you said something about the movement of her tail. If you think of a fan and how it spins really fast and blows air, so we could say that her tail moves really fast, really twitchy. Or some of you even mentioned that her tail moves so fast it might blow air. So you're doing a nice job of understanding what they mean. So again, to firm up that understanding, we're going to take the opportunity to try out some of our own. So a couple of steps to that. First, you're going to want to choose an object. Um, you could pick your pet. You could pick one of your favorite toys. You could pick just something important to you. So I'm going to pretend that this is a page in my reading notebook. You'll want to grab your reading notebook and work along with me. I am going to pick my dog, Bailey. So I'm going to do a bubble map. I'm going to describe Bailey. Before I can um, write a simile or metaphor, I want to know what it is that I want to say about Bailey. Like, what is it that I want to describe? Bailey, my dog, she is white. She is sometimes very wild. She also is, I wrote some notes down. Wilder. She can also, she can be very wild, but she can also be very cuddly, especially when she's sleepy. Oh, and so soft, especially now because she's shedding a lot and her hair is kind of thinning out, so she's getting really really soft. Okay, so these are some words I would use to describe Bailey. Now, what I want to do, because similes and metaphors compare objects, I want to think of other things that also are white. White, I could say, the first thing I think of is how snow is really white. Um, as far as soft, uh, sometimes I think of cotton balls. Those are really soft. Cuddly, I'm thinking like how babies, when they're sleepy, they can be really cuddly. Wild, what's something that's like wild and crazy? Sometimes, I'm kind of envisioning Bailey likes to spin, especially when she's hungry and we get her food. She likes to spin around our legs, like as we're getting her food, she just runs or runs around. So I'm thinking of a top, one of those toys that you spin and it just spins all over the floor. Okay, so what I've done is I've thought of describing words because that's what we do in a bubble map, and then I've thought of other objects that are those things. Now that's going to help me come up with some sentences or even a poem that I could try out some similes and metaphors. So let me see. Bailey is as white as snow. And then just to add another descriptive phrase, um, newly fallen on a winter morn, as in morning. Um, she is a pile of cotton balls. Um, uh, I'll leave it at that. A pile of cotton balls. And then, um, let's see, wild. Um, Bailey can be as wild as a spinning top. Um, let's see, spinning top, um, whirling, whirling around and around. All right, so let's see, just to kind of go back and look at what I've done. Bailey is as white as snow. Is that a simile or a metaphor? This one is a simile because I've used the words, I've compared two things using like or as. What have I compared? Bailey with snow. Basically saying she's really white. She is a fully white dog. She is a pile of cotton balls. Is that a simile or a metaphor? That one would be a metaphor because I'm comparing things, but I'm not using like or as. I'm basically saying Bailey is a pile of cotton balls. So this is Bailey again. I'm comparing Bailey with cotton balls. And what do I mean by that? What I meant by that was how soft she is. And then Bailey can be as wild as a spinning top. Is that a simile or a metaphor? This one's a simile again because I'm comparing using as. And what am I comparing? Bailey to a top. Okay, so third graders, by writing our own similes, we are hopefully firming up our understanding of what they are and understanding what readers or what authors mean when they use them. So when I'm writing my own, I can get a sense for what I'm trying to say. So, some steps. Choose an object that you would like to write some similes and metaphors for. Start a bubble map with describing words. How would you describe that object? And then what other object also has that description or that trait? And then that's what you would compare. So you would compare your first object to that new object. And basically, what you're saying is this describing what this is what you're trying to say. So, in the next slide, you can continue to practice the vocabulary of similes and metaphors. You can choose any of those activities that you haven't done yet, or even repeat one that you enjoyed. But then you're going to give this a try yourself. So, right there in your reader's notebook, give this a try for yourself. Come up with either some sentences or even a short poem about an object. And so that will be your evidence of learning today. So have fun with that. Can't wait to see what you come up with.